Ah,
Okay.
Okay, now we're live. All right.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Welcome. So today we just decided to get together and then come over here. So if you see us over here, we we're going to talk about relationships. My name is Kwame, and we have Tola here and Nancy.
mhm,
And yeah, Nancy. Okay. So today we're going to talk about choosing between the love of your life and your family. So this is a very important topic that I believe most of us will benefit from because sometimes a lot of people get in between having the love of their life or their families. Some most of us, those of us who had families,
mhm,
grow up with our families teaching us and indoctrinating us and helping us feel that we belong to a place. And then throughout our life, we meet someone that we fall in love with and we want to settle with. We get married to this person, or those of you who are not married yet and still in a relationship, you're with this person, and then you get to the point where you have to choose between your family and the love of your life. What do you do? So we have Tola and Nancy and myself, and we're going to dissect this because it's been on a lot of people's mind. People have had issues with their families and the love of their lives. So, what do you do in this situation where you're stuck between your family and the love of your life? Um, None of us is either for or against. Tola is definitely against. Tola is definitely against. He doesn't want to choose between his love of his life, the love of his life, and his family. Nancy is very smart, and she is coming from all angles. So, um, and I am neither for or against. I'm kind of empathetic, so I also understand from either side. But by the end of this broadcast, we should be able to come to a conclusion and help everyone, especially those of you who are struggling and find yourself in this situation, to be able to find a solution. Okay. All right. So we'll start with Tola. Tola, what do you think?
Okay. Well, firstly, let me say that when you said that I'm against, we need to be clear on exactly what I'm against.
Okay.
Okay. Now, my own view is there's absolutely no way that I could have chosen the supposed love of my life over my family. In the sense that I mean, now the truth is, I've had, past experience with such situations where I knew for a fact that I could not go against what my family, you know, wouldn't approve of. And I had, several examples for that. Because honestly, I honestly I don't believe that such relationships would work at the end of the day. Now, don't get me wrong. Some have worked and are probably still working. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the ratio is much smaller to the ones that, I mean, the opposite. Because again, I have examples of people in such situations. Okay, so that's why I said, I mean, how can you actually be made to choose between the family that you've been with, that one can said to trust like entirely? Now begin on the flip side. There are some families that can probably go overboard. We can't rule that out. Okay, there's some families that can be rational as well. Okay, but if I'm going to talk about anything, whether on this platform or mine, I would always use myself as an example because it's easy for me to say this because, like I said, I've had experience with it. So I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's not even a 50-50 chance. It's like an 80-20 chance.
Hmm.
Because again, let's face it. Now, when we say family, I'm particular about parents,
Okay.
not siblings or cousins or aunties or uncles or nephews. Okay. I'm just going to, particularly home in on the parents. They have experience. They've got foresight. They've got a sixth sense. Like I said, that does not apply to all parents. That's a fact. Okay. But with mine, there was no way. Growing up, I knew that there was no way, because even funny enough, my mom had always, often said that, look, if you bring someone home and don't approve, you are going to attend that wedding yourself. She always said that. She was
Yeah.
very vocal. In as much as when she said it playfully, but I knew she meant it. I knew what she desired, what she liked, for not even for herself, okay, but for us. Now, some parents can be selfish. That's a fact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mine have never been. I've got two other brothers, and they've always looked out for us instead. Now, tell me, would it be sensible, knowing fully well that I knew and know that whatever they decide or do is really for my own good? Would I now actually now turn around and say, okay, no, I'm gonna marry this person, because even as much as you said that you don't think it's a good idea? I don't think so. But hey, that's just me, and that's from my own background. So
Okay.
that's how I see it.
That's okay. That's sweet. All right. What do you
Okay,
think?
Tola. I mean, you've made some valid points. I mean, when we talk about family, I would like for us to establish something here. Like, in the case where it's like mom, dad, they have taken care of you, they've invested in your life, they've been there for you, and you always know that these people have your best interests at heart. They always look out for you. Um, Even now, as old as I am, I still feel like there are some things that I cannot see that my parents have seen or they can see ahead of me. Because as you
True,
get older, you become wiser. When you're
true,
like 19, 20, you think you know everything in the world. You think like, I am grown, I can take my own decisions and stuff like that. If you asked me this question when I was like 19, 20, I'll definitely say, no, I'll go with the love of my life. But once you have been through marriage and kids and you have all of that, you know for sure that you need more than love to be able to sustain your own family when you start building it. You understand?
true,
Because
true. You're
once
right.
you get married, the love is not going to be able to sustain the family. You need more than that. There's going to be ups and downs. People are going to get sick. People are going to lose their jobs. You're going to have, it's possible you can have a handicapped kid. You're going to need your whole family supporting you, either physically, either emotionally, and all of that. And if they disapprove of the person that you choose for yourself and you decide to go against them, then you have to be prepared to go the long haul all by yourself. All by yourself. Of course, we have toxic families members as well. We have toxic people in our family who would be like, no, I want you to marry this person because
Yeah,
he's from a rich family and I want us to get out of poverty. That angle is there. But if we are talking about normal family, mom, dad, who cares about you, of course, they're going to be, once they advise you, it's going to be the best for you. I can use my own self as an example. When I
Okay.
was much younger, I was in love with somebody and I thought he was like heaven and earth. But the people around me could see that he was trash. But I thought like he was everything. Now they say hindsight is 2020. Right now, I can see that he was trash. He has 6 different baby mamas and 6 different kids. So of course, my whole family saved me from something. But whilst I was much younger, I was like, oh my God, no, I love him and I'll die for him. And I was just being silly. So of course, if I have to choose between my family and the love of my life, right now, as I sit here, of course, I'm going to choose my family, and I'm going to be giving the same advice to my kids as well. When I see somebody, because if, as you're older, you can have a sense when somebody comes close to you. You can tell who a person is because you have, I don't know whether we should call it instincts or I don't know what to call it, but because of your experience with different types of people, the person can be smiling, saying all the right things, but as a parent, even now with my kids, they have friends that I'll be like, I'm not really sure about this girl, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I will make my
Mm-hmm.
comments about it. It's not because I hate the person, it's because maybe this person triggers something from somebody I know. There is something, there's a vibe that I'm thinking, no, this will not be good, you know. Maybe you should not be too close to the person, and you should watch out for it. And I've had my daughter is in the 5th grade. She always comes up, Mommy, you know what? You were right. This person was, you know, da 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 da, you know. That is it. And she's like, how did you know? And I was like, yeah, you know, in my language, we say that what a grown-up can see, even if you stand on their shoulders, you'll not be able to see it. You understand? Even
Yeah,
if they
we
put
said
you on
that
their
too.
shoulder, you'll not be able to see, because they've experienced more things than you. So when they say that, it's not from any type of hate or something, it's just for your own good, you know, apart from parents who wants to like use you to get out of poverty, you know.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nancy. So I hope everyone watching has found themselves in this kind of situation. It's whether you find yourself on Tola's side, or Nancy's side, where Nancy is well, I mean, putting out the reality
Actually,
out there.
we're on the same side.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think so.
yes,
I mean, I am all for love. Love is such a beautiful thing. Like, you know, it's such a beautiful, you know, you can't see from the treetop that, okay, thank you, Amma. I mean,
yes.
love is such a beautiful thing, you know, all these feelings and butterflies and all of that, but that cannot sustain, you know, a marriage, you know. I believe science says that dies after 7 years or so, you know, then you have to like deal with the person on your own. That's what I think science says. And I've never researched it, but that's what the people who have researched it say, that after that, you have to do it on your own. And real life and love, it can't sustain you. You need your.
Okay. Well, Nancy is breaking up a little bit, so when she comes back.
I think
So,
she's back.
Yeah.
okay, you're back.
Okay, she's
Okay,
back. Yeah.
let's move on. Okay,
So,
so this is what I think. I think you're gonna need your family to a point, and then you have to do it from that point ongoing, like what Nancy was saying. And I think we're all on the same side. We're all believing in the same thing. But this is what I have to ask. So, if you are a parent, how would you want this to be done? Because if you're not a parent and you are choosing between your family and your loved one, how would you want this to be done? Because if you're choosing, or if you're the one in the person in question, you will feel like your family, those of you who feel like your family is just being too much, or they're demanding too much, or they're just poking their nose into your relationship. This is the love of your life that you found, and then they're making it too difficult. Like sometimes you feel you're really really sure about this, this your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your fiance is the best thing you've ever found in your life, and then here comes your family. If you're a family, if you're the parent, um, what do you think you should do? Because I know parents should train their children well to a point where they won't make some mistakes in their life. I don't know if I'm making sense.
yeah.
Do you want to take it, Stola? We have
Okay.
Akuya over here. She says hi. Amma
Someone
said,
asked a question.
okay.
Yeah, she's asking what family, please, nuclear or extended?
I think we should talk about both.
Both.
So if anyone is going into marriage, most of the time we need both the nuclear family and the extended family. So I'm talking about those of us who are from Africa. Like we believe that family is between marriage is between families. So most of the time we have our extended families coming, unless you totally don't agree with your extended family. But we have
Mm.
extended family coming together, and then our nuclear family will be included too. So we can address both at the same time. So we can talk about the nuclear family now, and then we'll bring in the extended family later. Because um, you literally grow up with your nuclear family, and
Yeah.
some members of the extended family will also be around. So let's focus on the nuclear family for now, because I know some uncles and some aunties, we will always have those kind of people in there. Sometimes in our family meetings, they come around and they're always chaos. Well,
Sure.
let me just read this, and then we'll go to Tola and then Nancy. We'll do that circle. Um, so Amma said, if you expect family support, you cannot ignore their advice.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to stand um, alone and bear the consequences alone. Oh wait. So if you're willing to decide alone, and then you have to bear the consequences alone. Um, so talking about before marriage. Linda, we're talking about both before marriage and after you're into your marriage, because you're always going to have family members around. So
Mm-hmm.
before marriage and after marriage, we'll just be talking about them like back and forth.
Okay. So basically now we should talk about before and after.
So yeah, before and after.
Okay. Well, like I said before, 100% my nuclear family, 100%. Now I'll give you examples. Like Nancy said, when you're in your 19, 20, 21, you feel like you see someone and you're all butterflies in your belly and all of that. But the truth is, we end up not seeing what someone else could easily see, because let's just say one could easily be blinded by love, in quote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these parents, again, I need to always, say that parents differ. Like Nancy also said, some parents have selfish interests, you know, probably, lifting them out of poverty, or actually even lifting the person, him or herself, out of poverty. Obviously, so by extension, you know, it's a ripple effect on them also. But again, like mine, that was not the scenario. Now, while I was dating, okay, I of course there were multiple women that I might have introduced to my mom, right? And she knew when I was serious. Hi, Amma, what's up? Hello, what's
Hello.
happening? How
I
you
know
I'm
doing?
good.
she just couldn't sit there and watch.
I have to come join in your conversation a little bit. But Tola, go on when you finish.
Okay, okay. So so I mean, I brought several women to the house. Now my mom knew at which point I was serious, with a particular person. Now, at those points that she noticed I was serious, she showed interest. She'd ask me a question or two, blah, 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 and I'll answer. And then also, again, she noticed the ones that were just, round the way. But when I decided to bring my wife home, it was, I mean, I could easily say it was love at first sight. But tell you what, if the reverse, if by some chance the reverse was the opposite, ooh, there would have been a superb reason for it. But I just thank God that there was none. That's all I can say, honestly. Because the ones that there were issues with, she was clear. She didn't mince her words, she didn't bite her tongue, she was clear. And the fact is, funny enough, ever so often I reflect that okay, sometimes in my head, I said to myself, okay, what if it was this person that I ended up with, or that person I ended up with? And you would not believe that all of them, although some might be watching this thing, so maybe I shouldn't.
You should just put it on. Okay.
Tola, you have
Yeah.
already let the cat out of the bag, I tell you. The damage already done.
You can block all of them for now.
Well, some of them were, I was able to clearly say, at the worst case, maybe one, maybe one, tops two. And I'm talking about numerous, multiple. But he ended up the way he ended up because I had the support and I listened to
Good for
what
you.
they had to say. Now, if we talk about after marriage, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Mm.
Everybody has to respect boundaries. That's a no-brainer. There's whether from extended family or from nuclear family. I can easily say that I've been blessed in the family I have. So I can't say I've got experience in that, but I tell you that if it had to come up after marriage, then I'm going to have to stick to my wife. And that's the truth.
Oh, but of course, you've made your
Absolutely.
decision.
It's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah,
Really. So
Yeah.
I
for
agree
me,
with you
for me,
over there.
yeah, for me, it's that simple. It's that
Okay.
simple.
All
Kwame,
right.
may I disturb your peace a little bit and then
Disturb
disappear?
my peace a little bit.
Please do.
I want to come land a missile and then run. So,
Okay.
what I'm about to
Okay.
say to you starts from when I was a young, hot-blooded girl with ideas about parental influence and control and independence, and I know it all, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And now sitting here as almost a parent with kids who are about ready to move into that phase. I'll tell you the differences here. So if my son were looking at a girl, I will not actually be looking at a girl because she's beautiful. I will actually be looking at a girl because she will bring value to this boy. He will support him. She will not bring unnecessary load and come make him suffer. That's the angle I will come from. Because I have raised children, I know there are bills to pay, I know there are responsibilities to bear, and your parents will look at those things from the responsibility point of view. Whereas you are in your 20s, early 20s, or whatever, may not be, you've never lived before, you've never paid these bills before, you never know what it feels like to take children through till they get to a certain age, and you don't know the logistics of what it takes. Your parents have been there, they know that. And they can see attributes of people who like to spend all their salaries on shoes. And they know that if this person likes to spend all their salaries on shoes, there will be no food in the house. And guess who's going to have to stand in and back up the person who spends it? And this person is not going to stop buying shoes just because they've got children, just because they've
Yeah.
got bills. Some of these things are lifetime behaviors that you come to, and it takes a lot of effort to shift. So maybe your parents, I remember this conversation with my parents were like community parents. People will bring partners and my dad will be like, nope, that's not a man for you. This one will make you suffer. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, uncle, you know, blah, blah, blah. 5 years later, they are like, uncle, the children don't have any food. Rah, rah, rah. And my dad in particular, when he told you not to do something, and you said that you wanted to go ahead with, he will give you the option. And he will always end with, on your head, may it rest. You can go right ahead and ignore advice, but on your head, may it rest. 5 years later, when they come crying about school fees, my dad will remind you, do you remember when I told you a rest on your head? Well, when you choose an irresponsible person as your wife or as your husband, this is what you deal with. So at the moment, it's up to you to manage it and handle it. The younger me used to think that was harsh. No, you don't get to go create problems and then come palm it off to other people to fix for you. If it is your right to choose, baby, it is your right to live with it.
Word.
You have to understand that. You
Yes.
get to choose. And I say
Word.
that to my kids too. If you want to go and choose whoever, that's fine. Whatever you get, I will love you. I will support you in spirit. I will pray for you. I will motivate you, but you will live with the consequences yourself. If you want me to be running with you and firefighting with you, then at least I might be involved in the process somewhat. But you don't get to create problems and come dump it in my lap. It doesn't work. So that's the comment I made. I wanted to just extend on it a little bit. If you are looking for me to be part of your childcare problems, then we need to understand what I can do in terms of childcare. We need to have that conversation. So you know what I can give you. You can't go and have 6 children assuming that me, as your parent, I am going to be your childcare provider, because I don't intend to be here. I will be on a yacht. So you are going to be disappointed.
Yes.
I always tell my girls that I'll be a Bora Bora. Don't call me.
Yes, darling.
Yeah, you have
Yes,
your own
honey.
life.
I will chew my SIM card. You won't find me. So if you intend for me to be part of the childcare arrangements, have that conversation. Let me tell you when I will be available so we can see how this fits in with this plan, which involves me. Otherwise, if you get to call the shots, then as an adult who has your jurisdiction and you exercise your franchise and you call the shots, you should also be willing to bear the consequences like I do at the moment. I make my decisions. I don't call my mom. I don't ask her opinion. And so when the consequences come, I also don't call her. I don't ask her opinion. And this is something we need to be very clear with young people in particular, because a lot of them know their rights.
Yeah.
But they don't know their responsibilities. That's an issue.
That's true.
Nice. Okay.
But let me quickly just add this, Amma.
Yes.
If you actually end up on that yacht and you see either one of them running after your yacht on a jet ski, will you tell me you won't let them on board?
I will jump in the water, I tell you. I have worked for my freedom.
Hey,
And I'm going to enjoy it. You hear me?
Oh, Lord.
You
I
see,
mean,
in an
it's just
ideal
important.
world, of course, everybody wants to be chosen. Everybody wants to be chosen. If a man has to choose between me and his family, in my romantic fantasy, I would hope he would choose me. You know, everybody wants to be chosen, but in reality, that does not work at all. You understand? In reality, you have to be logical instead of being all of this emotional and things like that, you know. And like Amma said, if you make your own bed, then you should be ready to sleep in it. You should be ready to go the whole way with this person. The problem is the person is the love of your life, but are you the love of this person's life?
Bomb.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
And
Please.
even when you are the love of his life,
That's a whole
is
new
he
dimension.
also going to be the pain of your life? There are two things. Somebody can love you and also be the pain of your life.
True. And not somebody can love you and not know how to love you right, you know. He might not know how to love you right. And then some years later, you're going to find out you are not the love of his life, or he's a pain in your neck or your butt. And then you have kids. It's not so easy to, you know, what if he loses his job? You have a child who is handicapped, all of that. What are you going to do? You're going to need support from your family, you know?
Yeah.
I would say I ended up with the love of my life, but we've had times where I'll be on the phone with my mom, talking, and my mom will be like, calm down, you know, no need to overreact, because she likes the person, you know.
And that becomes very
But I am
difficult.
sure if she didn't like the person, she'd be like, why are you calling me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me? I told
Yeah.
you before, why are you calling me? And that is also very dangerous. Once you end up not being the love of this person's life, and you have left everybody for this person, and you are cornered, that is what, in my opinion, will lead to lots of abuse, because you have nobody else to turn to. Now you're going to be like, you know, this person can do whatever they want with you because they know you have no support whatsoever. So choosing the love of your life, it's nice and all in Disney movies and fantasies and all these mills and booms we read when we were younger, but in reality, it does not work at all.
Okay. Well, okay, let me read one of the comments. So your name is showing as Facebook user. You can just add your name so that we'll mention you. It said, sis, you landed. Don't run. Stay and collect the stones. So this one is going to Amma.
Well,
and
I
Nathan
just
is
came
saying
to
more
cause
fire.
trouble, and I'm going to hide in the background and just enjoy the conversation. But yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining the platform.
Thank you for
Please
joining.
subscribe, and thank you guys for this banging conversation. I'm loving it. So I'm going to hide in the background, enjoy it, and yeah, invite other people into the conversation. And guys, great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Bye.
All right. So everyone, this is Tola. His page is Tola's Net. And Nancy is just Ask Nancy, right?
Yes.
Okay, just Ask Nancy. And my page is Walking the Talk. So So this is what I got from our conversation so far, and then we can just continue from there. At the beginning of your relationship, trust somebody. If not your parent, find somebody to trust. And usually, I think you have to fall back to your parents. Um, and then, if they train you enough, when you get married or you get into this long-term relationship, you should be able to stand on your own. I guess this is what we're all driving at, right?
Well,
Basically.
kind of. Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So we'll go back to Nancy and then Tola, and then we'll address this kind of. And then after that, we'll talk about when do you think is just too much? Because sometimes parents see what we don't see, and then we think that they're being too much. So when do we draw that line? Because I've seen this in my family and other people like friends, families, where parents cannot really talk about what is going on in their child's marriage because they are married and they need to have their privacy, but someone is suffering in that marriage. So when do we draw that line that okay, we need to step in right there? So let's talk about the kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll move on to that one. Do you want to start,
Well,
Nancy?
the reason why I said kind of was like, you can normally, if you've raised your kids, my kids are in their early teens, so Amma is far ahead of me when it comes to parenting. But I believe like normally when you've trained your teens and you've exposed them to certain things when it comes to like integrity, the things that you should value in a person, what kind of personalities and habits and traits you should look out for in a person, not the super stuff. If you've trained them to be sympathetic, kind, and all of these things, they will look for those things in another person. And as you keep training your kids, it will help them to be able to choose a bit wisely. But life happens. Our kids spend like you can do your very best in raising your kids, but my kids spend like 8 hours a day at school. And then when they come home, we probably spend like 3 hours together and then they go to bed. So sometimes I feel like my influence, it's important, but there are other influences as well. You understand? So of course, sometimes our kids can end up choosing the wrong person, even though we've done our very best. We've read all the parental books, we've tried all the tricks, we've done everything that one needs to do. We've poured into them, we've loved them, we've done everything for them, where we are thinking, okay, they should be able to choose a person based on good judgment because we brought them up to be able to make good judgments. But we have narcissistic people, we have manipulative people who can also come into this person's life, ended up being this pseudo love of their life, and our kids will be blindsided by it. That happens as well. That is why I said kind of. Normally once you've done all the right things in an ideal world, yes, your children, you wouldn't have this real conflict. Like Tola said, maybe he chose somebody else, but there was a few things, but he will still have a feeling of, this is the kind of girl I can bring home. You will have that feeling. You will know when you meet this, and this girl, no. As soon as I get home, mom will say, no, no, no. You will know what your parents expect from you, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way we want it.
Perfect. All right. Do you
Yeah.
have Tola?
Yeah, honestly, when you said, drawing the line, excuse me. See, the thing is, I think one of the most important thing is to know the kind of parents that you actually have.
Mhm.
Honestly. Yeah. I think that probably sets the stage for your eventual decision. I mean, we all know at least from childhood to early 20s, no child can say that they've got no idea the personality of the parents that he or she has got. You would know whether your parents are selfish. You will know whether they think of just themselves. You will know whether they value extended family advice. You would know whether extended family advice can come into your own home and start to make demands. You would know. Again, from my own experience, extended family, aside from my parents, would certainly not work. They were close to them, okay, but they weren't run by them even in the slightest of ways. what they decide to do is what they decide to do. Yes, it's extended eventually might hear about it, but they don't go running and they don't allow extended to come in and say and do a round table and then put the topic right there on the floor and then they all start to discuss about it. No,
Mm.
it's really important. I think that's the first stage to know exactly the kind of family you have. You would know. Like if, for example, I figured that my mom was basically into herself, was or Papi just wanted someone that would come into the house and then help with the chores, okay, or
Mhm.
someone that will help with this and that, or someone that she's okay, my dear, I'm having this issue, blah, for something like that. I'm having these money issues, or the kind of parents that the girl has that okay, are they wealthy? Can they help me accomplish this or achieve that? You would know. There's no two way. So if that stage is not set properly, uh, it will be tough. And of course, I know some people who probably would be going through that, and it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, some people don't actually have choice. And now that's the sad part. Some don't. I'm just lucky that I had. So really, it depends on the home.
I mean, some parents can. We are not going to be here and be like some parents cannot be toxic, because we know that some
Yeah.
parents can be really,
Oh,
really toxic.
absolutely.
They can be toxic, and sometimes, like I said, maybe just using your own judgment, as a person. If this is a person who hasn't sown anything inside, like in your life, like I
Mm,
have an auntie, she's an extended family, but I do value her opinion, because she's somebody who really cares about me. She will check on me and all of that. So I do value her opinion, even though she's an extended family. But I'm not
mm.
going to let everybody in my extended family have an opinion, because if you ask 10 people, 10 people have 10 different opinions. What am I going to do
Yeah,
with all 10 opinions,
exactly.
So yeah, I mean, there are some few people, they can be in your extended family that you can still value their opinion. It depends on the relationship that you have with that person,
Mm,
and the history you have with that person. If that person has shown genuine interest in you time and time again, you know that this person is genuine. When they say something, they have my interest at heart. But of course, we have parents who are very toxic.
yeah,
They don't want their daughter to marry this guy because of reasons that can sound a bit like stupid, or
Mhm.
selfish,
Okay.
or
yeah,
yeah, and in that case, especially if you are a woman, I can only talk for a woman because I don't know what the life of experience of men are. In that case, you have to be really, really, really careful. You really have to be careful, because you might end up being exploited instead of it being like advice to save you.
yeah,
You
yeah.
might end up. But for men, not to be sexist, but I think for men, most of the time, I am kind of a traditional. I think men do run their households, So I think for a man, maybe for men, it's easier to make this bold decision and say, I'm going to go against my family and marry you regardless, because I'm a
You
man.
think?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the
Wow.
experience. But as a woman, we are very vulnerable, especially, most women go into poverty after having kids, because once the man leaves you and you are stuck with the kids, you can't really do as much as you wish to do. It slows you down. So as a woman, I think for me, I can say you should value the advice of your family more, because in the end, most of your help is probably going to end up coming from your side of the family.
Yeah,
I don't know how it is in other places, but from where I come from, the tribe that I come from, we tend to fall back on our mother side of the family more than our father side. So it has me
understand.
feeling like as a woman, I have to make sure that we are cool. Like nobody's angry. Okay, approve of him. Yeah. Okay, then let's get married. So I know that you'll be there for me and all of that.
Nice. So, well, now that we're talking about um like seeing it from different angles, let me talk about how guys see this. I mean, from my own perspective. So, when I was growing up, I took a lot of girls that I was dating home to my mom. So I grew up in a single parent home, and I built trust in my mom based on how she responded to every girl that I took home. So some of them should say, okay, let's just look at her. And some of them should just say no. and she'll give me reasons. Okay, this and this and this and this. That's why we don't want this. And I'll go think about it, and I was like, whoa, I almost made a mistake. When I met my wife, it was here in the States, and my mom was in Ghana. So I, kind of, I'm like, okay, I hope she doesn't reject this one, because almost everyone that I took to her, most of the time I'll be wrong. And then I'll go back and sit down and calculate and analyze why she was saying no to all these girls. I always realized that she was right. So I was hoping that this one was right for her, because I really liked her. And then she asked for her picture, and the picture of us standing together. And then she wanted to talk to her, even though my mom doesn't speak English that much. But they talked, and my mom was like, I like her. I'm like, ooh, that's good. And I feel like most of us are always depending on our parents to approve. And that's where the problem is when you feel like the only approval should come from your parents when you cannot make any decision for yourself. And I'm appealing to parents, especially parents or caretakers, guardians, that when you train a child to a point where they can make decisions, that will be better for them, because there will be a time that they will not need you, because they're already intertwined with this other person, and all decisions have to be made by them, unless maybe they call you for SOS, like when things are going dire and then they call you. But I've seen that some of us are not really strong enough that in every situation we call our parents. And that's where I see the problem, that when the family is always interjecting, because one person from the family is always going back and asking for help. So from the guy's side, it's because everyone sees us to be in charge, but usually we're not actually in charge. We suffer just like the females, just that we don't express it outwardly. I don't know if Tola is the
Yep,
same for
I
you.
agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So for guys, we go through the same thing, just that society expects us to be the man of the house and stand firm. And I think we're also taking a step into that responsibility of not, talking too much about things and wanting to solve things on our own or with our spouse. And I mean, the ladies can also learn from this, because I know some females that always, every day, calling their moms about what is going on in their homes. Yes, Nancy. I didn't mention anyone's name. Oh.
No, because I don't have any relatives where I live. Like all my relatives they live in the States. So of course, when I get off work, they are now waking up. So I always want to and I do really. I talk to my mom every day. I'm not ashamed. I'm the first person to raise my hand, because I found that like I said, I am more than ready to call Amma and ask Amma about kids in their late teens, because she's experienced it. She's past where I am now,
Okay.
Yeah.
and my parents' marriage was not perfect, but they are still together. There are things that they have done to sustain it. So sometimes I like getting advice from my mom, on how things go. I feel like sometimes when I go to my friends who are probably going through the same stage or phase of life as I am, and for those of us who are educated, have done our degrees and stuff like that, we tend to sometimes be so hyper independent that for us, we don't want to be stressed. We want boundaries. We want this. And some of our responses and our advice, for me, I value family. I was born in a family of 5. I value family. Some of these progressive responses, sometimes they're a bit so I go to my mom when I want that home comfort traditional response. I want something grounded, not anything grounded in any kind of trend or all of these buzzwords people throw around, because in today's world, every man is a narcissist. If you ask every woman, he's a narcissist. Oh, leave him. leave him. You know, the slightest, they don't give you real advice that you can do something about it, because of course you're earning your own money and everything. So everybody's just into this hyper independence stage of life. That is why I do prefer to ask my mom for advice. She is a traditional woman, but she's also educated. So she's able to let me know, you know what, you are wrong. I've heard everything that you said to me, and you are wrong. You know, you are wrong for saying this. You are wrong for doing it like this. You should have discussed it before, you know, because sometimes you take decisions in a harsh way because you feel like, you know, that's why I go to her. And I'd rather go to her than to go to one of my female friends, because we are all like a bit too crazy, if I should say, you know.
Yeah. You know, and again, like I said before, it boils down to your parents, to the parents that you know they are. I mean, if you didn't think your mom was objective, that she was reasonable, that she was that she's intelligent, you won't. If you know for a fact that if you call out for advice and she's telling you, my friend, pack up that, you know, leave the house, do this, do that, you know, then it still boils down to knowing your parents. That's the truth. At the end of the day, still. Like, for example, like she said, I try to call my mom every other day. I try as much as I can. But she won't go around telling me, do this, do that, don't do this. No, she listens. And then she advises appropriately. And that's because I know. Same thing goes for my dad. Actually, I probably even call my dad more for advice more than my mom. You know, probably sometimes I kind of like balance it. But that's because I know that, one, they love my wife, without a doubt. So there's in fact, most of them that are not, I can easily say that it's me they'll point the blame finger on. You know, it's like that. But if I knew that, if I was looking for them to point the finger at her, and that's what I wanted, I would certainly call them for that every time, and I will get exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, so it boils down to them. It boils down to knowing the kind of parents you have.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. So this is, I mean, let me put it this way. What if, so most of us go to our parents because they like our spouse or the love of your life. And usually it's very rational from them when they're trying to solve issues, when they like the spouse. What if you know certainly that they don't like that person? And it's probably for a good reason, or maybe just, you know.
What's your opinion of good reason that I know about, or good reason that only them know about? You have to be clear.
Both. Okay. And this also boils down to how you introduce a situation to them, because when people call home or they call their parents, it depends on how they explain the situation to the parents.
Okay.
So good or bad, because sometimes you tell things and then because your parents love you, I mean, they should love you, there are certain things that you tell them that you don't expect to say it that way, or you don't expect them to understand it that way, but because they love you, they have like they take it to the extreme, you know.
But if they apply wisdom, it won't go that way.
Yeah.
You know, if they apply wisdom, because I mean, you can't just listen to one party and then not hear the other party. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of applying wisdom. So that might be difficult to do, especially in my case. There's no way that I cannot call my parent now and lay complaints about my wife, and they'll be on my no. The first thing they tell me is, look, tell you what you're saying, I've heard you. I'll talk to you later. The next call will be to her. I know that for a fact. So in fact, most often than not for me, even if the slightest issue come up, sometimes my parents are probably not the best to call. Because especially if I'm looking for them to be on my side, no, I'm calling the wrong people. Honestly, because it won't go that way. Because they would apply wisdom. Nice. I won't get what I want. But like you said, it depends on what the person is actually looking for. If I'm looking for them to blame her, I won't call them.
Okay.
I could call, yeah, it's probably easier to call a friend that you might know for a fact that probably doesn't like her. Yeah. But otherwise, in
Okay.
my situation, again, like I said, can't happen.
That sounds like the perfect situation you want to find yourself. So if you're a parent, please learn this.
Oh
Because
yeah. Oh yeah.
even as
You
a
might.
parent, when you have kids, yeah, like my kids, my daughters, when they come to me, one person might come and there's something happening upstairs. I can hear noise going up. Like I pretend to be deaf sometimes. Then one person will just come down the stairs and be like, "Mama," blah, 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 blah. And when they finish, I'll be like, right now, if I ask herself, will she tell me the same thing? And then, and as you keep asking, and then the real story starts coming out, you know.
Yep.
Same
There's
But
thing.
no
yeah,
smoke without
but
fire.
yeah, of course, the person who comes to complain makes sure I look like innocent, you know. But when
Yep.
you investigate, you find out that you know they're not as innocent as they
As they
pretend to be.
claim.
And this is where Tola's applying wisdom comes in. And your parents, whether they raise just you or they raise other kids as well, I don't know how big the family is. They've had this experience of knowing that whoever runs here and tells the story, there's more to the story. So let me talk
Yeah.
to the other person too and find out what's going on. It's only an unwise person who will just hear one side of the story and be like, and this unwise person, you normally find it amongst friends.
Yep.
Yes.
Amongst your friends, because they have no your
Connection
marriage
with the
or
other person.
whatever, it means nothing to them, whether it stays
Mm.
together or it breaks. But your parents, they are thinking about their grandkids and all of these things, you know. So
Yeah.
they have their heart is in the game, you know. For your friends, it doesn't matter. If you're single, come, we'll go clubbing and something, you know. So they will probably even encourage you, you know. But your parents, they will not, unless of course they are this kind of, you know, parents who didn't really do any parenting and they just ended
Yep.
up having you in later stage in life and they are probably just there for you to take care of them and all of
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I wanted to add one thing. The other reason why it's very, very important for me to choose the person that my family approve of is, you know, when our parents get older, you're going to need this person's support to be able to help you take care of your father and your mother in their old, you know, age, especially when one of them,
Yeah.
you know, passes away or everything
Yeah.
or anything like that. And if this person ends up being the wrong person, I mean, that's what I talk about. Family is something, it's not just this love, it's not just this phase at the beginning, it's a whole lot, you know. And
Yep.
you have to make
Yep.
sure you've chosen the person who go all the way with you when it comes to
The whole
going
nine
to
yards.
watch your parents bath them, and this person has to go all the way with you. So it cannot
Yeah.
just be something based on butterflies in your tummy, you know.
Yes.
It has to be somebody who is real and grounded. And I think your parents can see that much better than anybody else.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the love of your life is going to be a part of your family. So it's like a web.
Yeah.
And if you add that person, you have added them to the web and then back to their family. So
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
it cannot work that way, then it's gonna be really really
It
hard.
won't work. No.
Yeah. It'll be chaotic. Yeah.
Marvelous said,
Absolutely.
at this age, I'm yet to see any of my female friends who receive negative advice from their parents. All the observation about their spouses before marriage has come to pass.
Mm.
Parents talk from experience. It may come out negative, but
Yep.
you will surely grow to understand. I think we all see it from this angle because um, when we're choosing, we are very naive when we follow love instead of looking into the future.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Most of us don't do the investigation that we're supposed to do. Those of us who are from Africa, like my culture, back in the days, if you find a woman that you're going to marry, yeah, your aunties and your sisters will go do background investigation. Your parents will go meet their parents. So if their parents are not nice, then it's not going to work. And if
Yeah.
she's been doing some things behind the scenes, your aunties and your sisters are going to find out. So family, I think, is very important when it comes to choosing and also being in a marriage, uh, because you know, they are always there for you. They are always there for you. Um, Okay. So, do you have any last words? Because we're
No,
almost
no,
done now.
no.
Okay, Nancy, do you have any?
No,
No.
no. Thanks to everybody who joined. It was a very lovely discussion. I really enjoyed myself.
Me too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My last words is make sure the love of your life is part of your family, and make sure your family is part or agrees, and it's all okay, not just okay, but your family will come to your aid if the love of your life is going to give out.
Yeah.
But it boils down to what your family is. You should know what your family is expecting. You should know who your family is. As Tola said, if your family is going to be troublesome, you should know from the start. And we've all learned a lot from Nancy that if you're starting, you better consult your family first. They are going to be part of you forever.
Yeah.
So make sure this connection, this web is like neatly tied between these two families. And I hope everything is good. And thank you all of you who joined, Cecilia Mensah and Marvelyn. Amma will catch you later.
Yeah.
Um, Linda, and all of you at Tramps, at Champong, for joining us. We'll see you another time. Um, and we hope we're all alive and safe. Peace.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye, guys.